Back on campus with Coach Smith here at White Plains. And Coach, good Monday morning. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to be here. Appreciate you coming back.
Coach, let's dive right into it. You just recently, this last Friday, took on the defending, 3 times in a row North representative for the state of Alabama and for a state championship game. You guys fought with them tooth and nail. Definitely a really close game right there in the first half. And like you kind of said, it leaned on you a little bit in the second half, but still competitive game. You've definitely seen some strides from your team, but just take us back how it all looked last night.
Yeah, I mean, Cherokee County, until somebody proves them different, they're the team that beating the North. I mean, they have been the past 3 years. And so, very good football team, very physical, big and physical up front, some good skill guys. And, I was really proud of the way we went in and competed. We went in and got after them. I actually was up, 8-6, early in the second quarter. And, we got down 20-11 at halftime, but I thought we played with a purpose. I thought we played with a lot of intensity and energy, which is what we had to. Second half they just kind of kept leaning on us and just wore us down a little bit, and ended up being 34-18. But I was proud of our effort. But we're just we still got a lot of work to do, to continue to get better each and every week. But good football team, and so like I said, until somebody proves them different, they're the team to beat in the North.
Coach, your recent schedule the last few weeks has just been a gauntlet. How is the guys holding up through that? And I mean, there's nobody else you can sit there and say, hey. Like you and I talked off the camera, I mean, once you play the teams you play, you're going to know exactly who your guys are and who competes with you.
Yeah, I mean, we can't control the region schedule. The region schedule, we meet, and then, of course, this was done before I got here, but you meet and you draw a schedule out of a hat, basically, and then you just fill in who's A, B, C, and all that. And so it just ended up where, our first 3 region games was Alexandria, Hoax Bluff, Cherokee County. That's tough, but they, our kids have fought. Our kids, we got out of Friday night, healthy. We didn't have any major injuries or anything. So, I like the way that our guys are approaching everything and the way that they're fighting, the way that they're competing, because, it just goes to show that we belong on the field with those teams. And now we've got to put together a full game, but we've shown glimpses of that. And so, it's definitely some positives to build on, but we're still not happy with the result. Whether you lose 50-0 or 35-28, it still goes down as a loss. And so, we've got to correct those things and stop those little mistakes that we're making, some at critical times that might even help us get to that point where we could, win the game at the end. But proud of the effort, proud of the intensity. We have to continue that each and every week. Each and every week we've got to play like we're playing the number 1 team in the state. And we've got to be ready. We've got to be intense. We've got to be excited, enthusiasm. We've got to have all that. And we've got to play to a certain standard. We've got to play the same way each and every week in order to have a chance to win. And so that's going to be the big key heading down the stretch, is continuing to play with that same effort that we've played with the last 4 weeks, really, since we started. We've got to continue that through the end of the season.
This region, I mean, you were a part of it. Y'all represented the North 5 in a row, and I think 6 of the 7 has came out of this region from 4A North. How hard is it when you're trying to build a program in a region?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, it's tough. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of different factors. Just the first thing is teaching the kids that they belong and that we can compete with those teams. And I think the past 3 weeks we've shown that, we're not there yet, but we can get there. And
on the door, sort of
right. And so you can tell just by the look in their eyes the past 3 Friday nights of hey, we can play with these guys. And but we have to just, we got to keep developing depth. We got to keep, getting more quality depth so that when we get into that second half, we're able to sustain against teams like that. And so I think that's just a big key, as we get along in this process, just developing that depth so that in the fourth quarter, we're able to turn it around and win that game instead of losing by 7. We win it by 7. So, that kind of thing. But it's a tough region. It's teams that are used to winning, expect to win, and that's kind of the point where we're getting to is getting these kids to believe and expect to win. And we know we're playing hard. We know we're playing good, but that's not the goal. The goal is to win the football game. And so, that's what our kids understand, that, we're playing to win. You practice all week long. Friday is payday. And when you work all week long and you don't win on Friday, you don't get paid.
An interruption. I need all seniors to report to the lunchroom at this time. All seniors to the lunchroom now.
We do it at the schools, so they understand.
Okay. So, it's just the end result is still not what we want. We feel like we're getting closer and we're getting there, but we're not there yet. And so our kids have got to continue to work and continue to do the things that allows us to compete with these teams in the region that are really good.
This upcoming week, you guys hit the road again, go to Holly Pond, correct?
We'll go to Horseshoe Bend.
Horseshoe Bend, that's right, Horseshoe Bend. What are you seeing from them on film?
Yeah, they've got a really good running back, probably one of the best running backs we've seen. He's a senior. They run the wishbone. So, it's the double tight wishbone. Coach Phillips.
They run the bone.
Coach Phillips, their head coach, is also from Clay County and played for Coach Horn.
Gotcha.
So,
he runs the bone.
So he's got that old wishbone in him, that we all grew up in.
Yeah.
And so he's double tight wishbone, some unbalanced stuff.
They're going to be running some 32
so
personnel.
They're going, they got those three backs back there, and then number 2 is really good. He is really good. They're big up front. They've got some big guys. And so, and it'll be, a pretty good road trip. So, that's something that we'll have to understand and get to do. And so we'll get to, but it's good to have these type games because I like having at least one a year because you get to treat it as if it's a playoff type travel, and so going over, somewhere that's further than 40 minutes where you do in your regular season, eventually that's going to pay off for us, when we get in the playoffs and when we start doing some stuff like that, getting used to taking that longer trip, packing, doing all those things. So it's good to have one trip like that. And of course, this game was scheduled before I got here at the last cycle, but I know Coach Phillips, and he's he's a really good coach and a really good guy. So I know they'll be ready to play.
How hard is it to stop your normal activities of practice and prepare to face a wishbone? That can't be easy.
It's different, back when I played, it was teams either ran they either ran the wishbone, they ran the I, or they ran the wing T. You didn't really see the spread type stuff, offensively. And so when you don't see it every day, it is different preparing for it. It's more, sound, fundamental, disciplined football, making sure you got all your assignments right. And it's just like at the college level when these teams go in and play, Army or Navy or something like that, they give them fits because they just don't see it every day.
That's right.
And so, but we'll get prepared for it and get ready for it and get a good game plan and hopefully execute it.
You haven't played in that system, definitely going to be lending words of advice on the defensive side of the ball this week, I'm sure.
Well, it's seeing what stuff that he's doing and just the wishbone. I mean, that's what I grew up doing, and it's what he grew up doing, and it was successful. And it's a good offense, and when it's ran well, it's tough to defend. So
hilarious story, real quick. I'll tell you before we get out of here, and I got a couple more questions for you. I was watching Coach Horn. He don't prepare for those jamboree games.
Mm-hmm.
He just shows up,
right,
rolls out there. Chase and him were really struggling moving the ball, and we were on the sidelines watching. This was probably about 4 years ago when they still did the one over here at JSU, and Chase and him was going backwards the first couple of drives, and finally Danny walks over and he goes, "All right." That's it. Go to the bone. And literally, they turn around and hand the ball off. This is when JD was still.
Yeah.
He gets 2 yards, but it was forward. And he turned around and he starts screaming, "Now that's football."
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is awesome. So we went to eat lunch with Chase and Danny after. And he said, "Man, you don't even know." He's like, "I got all this play chart." And then he said, "Down here at the bottom, I got this little square." And he said, "This is Dad's."
Yeah.
And he says, when he tells me, he said, "You don't even call the name." He says, "Run that one at work to get so-and-so."
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, in just the old way Clay County and Clay Central plays, if they ever get the lead on you,
Oh, yeah.
they'll get in that bone and they will suck the life out of the game. They'll run every bit of the clock off. They'll take that thing, and I mean, it is a demoralizing offense when you can't stop it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it has worked for years, you know, for Coach Horn. And look, when we ran it with pride. I mean, we believed in it. You know, that's what we did, and we took pride in running that offense and running the bone and things like that. So, you know, it works regardless of what period of time you're in.
Right.
You know, when you run it and you execute it, it's a really good offense.
That's right. But like you said, it'll bleed you dry.
It will. It will.
Up on you. Coach, before we get out of here, I always like to kick it back to you just for final thoughts. Could be anything team related.
Yeah, once again, you know, great crowd at Cherokee County Friday night. You know, we've got a little longer road trip this week, so I want to encourage our fans, you know, and our community to come down to Horseshoe Bend and support our guys, and hopefully we'll have a great crowd, and you know, should be a lot of fun.
Coach, I appreciate you sitting in with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.